There are enemies you see, and then there are enemies you don't. The ones who smile while they sharpen the knife. The ones who pretend to clap when you rise, but pray for your fall behind closed doors. This isn't just hate, it's darker, colder, more dangerous. Some people don't want you wounded, they want you wiped out. Not just broken, but erased. If you've ever felt a weight in the room when you walk in, a silence that stabs deeper than words, a betrayal that leaves you breathless, this message is for you. Before you dismiss it as paranoia, before you make excuses for those who would see you destroyed, listen carefully. Your survival may depend on recognizing the truth you've been too kind, too blind, or too trusting to see. Imagine for a moment a darkness that does not simply dislike the light, but dreams of extinguishing it completely. A hatred so deep, so venomous, that mere indifference would seem merciful compared to the chilling intent behind it. In this world, not all enemies are content to see you falter. Some, driven by a twisted hunger, long to see your very spirit erased. They do not merely dislike you. They do not simply wish you ill. No. They wish for your annihilation, the slow unraveling of your joy, the suffocation of your dreams, the silencing of your soul. We often lull ourselves into believing that hatred is the worst fate another human heart can harbor toward us. But hatred in its crude form still acknowledges your existence. It burns because it cannot fully detach from the object it despises. Yet there exists a more chilling reality, a hatred so cold, so complete, that it does not rage. It conspires. It smiles while it schemes. It pretends while it poisons. This is not the hatred that throws stones openly. It is the hatred that waits in the shadows, sharpening its knives. How do we recognize it? How do we discern when the disdain we feel directed at us has crossed the boundary into a lethal obsession? Not necessarily with physical death, though in rare and tragic cases it can reach that, but with the death of everything good within us, our hope, our courage, our faith, our very will to continue. Have you ever felt it? A presence that does not simply oppose you but seems to drain the very life from your atmosphere. A person whose eyes glitter not with annoyance, but with a cruel delight at the thought of your downfall. A whisper in the corridors of your mind that warns, this is no ordinary enemy. This is someone who desires your end. And yet, we hesitate. We doubt our instincts. We call it paranoia, foolishness, or weakness. We give the benefit of the doubt to those who deserve no such mercy. We entertain serpents at our table, thinking we are practicing virtue, when in fact we are inviting our own ruin. But wisdom, true, hard-earned wisdom, does not shy away from the reality of evil. It names it. It confronts it. It prepares the heart not for fear, but for vigilance, for spiritual war, for the unflinching courage to recognize when you are not merely disliked, but targeted for destruction. And so today we step into the difficult yet necessary light of truth. We will explore the unmistakable signs not merely of hatred, but of a heart so corrupted by malice that it seeks nothing less than the obliteration of yours. As we move forward, allow your spirit to listen deeply. Ask yourself, have I seen these signs? Have I sensed them lingering at the edges of my life, cloaked in fake smiles, in empty reassurances, in subtle betrayals? Because recognizing the reality is the first step toward reclaiming your peace, guarding your destiny, and preserving the sacred life God has entrusted to you. They find joy in your pain. There is a cruelty in this world that cannot be explained by reason or simple misunderstanding. Some souls do not merely wish to see you fail, they hunger for it. They find in your suffering a twisted kind of joy, as if your pain serves as proof that they hold some hidden power over you. And you can feel it, can't you? In the way they light up when you share your struggles, in the way their sympathy feels hollow, like a stage play performed for an audience of one, themselves. It is written, "The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it?" Jeremiah 17:9. Some hearts have fallen so far from the image of their Creator that they no longer flinch at another's agony. Instead, they are entertained by it. Your tears are their trophies. Your brokenness is their secret celebration. And if you listen closely, not just to their words, but to their silences, to their laughter when they think you aren't looking, you will sense it. You will sense that they do not pray for your healing. They savor your wounds. They do not weep when you are struck down. They smirk in the shadows, intoxicated by your suffering. It is not mere hatred. Hatred can burn itself out over time. But this joy at your downfall, is a far colder, more calculated evil. It is the spirit of Cain, who could not bear to see his brother's favor before God, and chose instead to shed innocent blood. It is the echo of every jealous heart that, unable to rise higher, seeks to pull others into the pit. Beware those who appear closest when you are weakest. Beware those whose comfort feels oddly suffocating, whose words of concern leave you more wounded than before. They may not always strike you with their hands, but their pleasure at your pain is a strike just as sharp, just as deadly. And perhaps the most tragic part is how often we excuse it. We tell ourselves, they didn't mean it that way. We justify their reactions, calling them misunderstandings or mistakes. But a spirit rooted in love mourns with those who mourn. It does not celebrate suffering. It does not feast on the brokenness of another soul. When someone consistently, habitually finds amusement, satisfaction, or comfort in your misery, you must open your eyes. You must realize this is not mere dislike. This is a spirit opposed to your very flourishing, a darkness that finds its only relief in the dimming of your light. Remember, God sees every tear you shed, even the ones caused by those who call themselves friends, but rejoice at your heartbreak. And God does not turn a blind eye. In time, those who dance on graves they help dig will find the ground crumbling under their own feet. But you must guard your heart, protect your soul, and remove yourself from the presence of those who cheer at your collapse. May sabotage you in secret. There is a kind of evil that does not strike openly, but works through hidden channels, moving like a serpent through the tall grass. It is the evil of silent sabotage, the whispers behind closed doors, the planting of doubts in the minds of others, the subtle undermining of your character while they smile to your face. The Book of Psalms warns us, they speak vanity, every one with his neighbor. With flattering lips and with a double heart do they speak. Psalm 12:2. In ancient times, the traitor was more feared than the enemy outside the walls. And even today, the ones who pretend to stand with you while plotting your collapse are far more dangerous than any opponent who declares themselves openly. They do not rage against you. They work patiently, carefully, crafting lies so fine and polished that even those closest to you may not see through them. They might plant a single seed of doubt in the heart of someone who trusts you. A slight suggestion, a careful question. Are you sure you can depend on them? They might deliver a backhanded compliment that wounds more than it praises. They might omit crucial details when speaking about you, allowing others to draw poisonous conclusions. Each act of sabotage seems small when viewed in isolation. A whispered rumor here, a broken promise there, a subtle misrepresentation somewhere else. But piece by piece, they dismantle your foundations until you find yourself isolated, doubted, and misunderstood, exactly where they want you. And all the while they maintain the facade of loyalty. They may still smile, still offer help, still pretend to champion your cause. And yet, their every move is calculated to destroy the trust others place in you. They are not content with watching you fall. They seek to engineer your fall, while keeping their hands clean. Such sabotage is a grave sin before God. A false witness shall not be unpunished, and he that speaketh lies shall perish. Proverbs 19:9. Every lie spun in secret is seen by the one who judges righteously. Every snare laid in hidden places will one day catch the feet of the one who set it. But for now, you must walk with wisdom. You must open your eyes not only to who openly opposes you, but to who quietly corrodes your reputation and dreams behind closed doors. Watch for the patterns. Watch for the sudden coldness in relationships that once were warm. Watch for opportunities that mysteriously vanish. Watch for the strange miscommunications that seem too coincidental to be accidents. Your destiny is too precious to leave exposed to silent assassins. Guard it fiercely. Recognize that not every voice that claims to support you speaks truthfully. Some come in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. As Christ himself warned, trust the discernment God has placed within you. Do not ignore the subtle nudges of the Spirit that whisper, "Something is not right." For in the end, those who sabotage the innocent are building their own destruction, stone by stone, lie by lie, and when God's justice rolls down like waters, they will not be able to stand against the tide. They pretend to support you publicly, but undermine you privately. There is a special cruelty in the betrayal of those who clap for you in the sunlight but curse your name when night falls. It is a deception so carefully constructed that even the wisest among us can be fooled. For a time. They know how to put on the mask of loyalty. They know the right words to say, the right expressions to wear, the right moments to applaud. But beneath the applause is a rot, a deep festering hatred that cannot bear the sight of your ascent. In the public square they will shake your hand, sing your praises and pledge their undying support. They will weave the appearance of allegiance so tightly that others will swear they are your greatest champion. But in the unseen corners of conversation, when the crowd has dispersed and the lights have dimmed, their true nature emerges. Then the knives come out, not in their hands, but in their words. Carefully placed doubts, malicious twists of truth, subtle discrediting, each one a dagger thrust toward your reputation, your relationships, your very soul. The scriptures warn us, beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. Matthew 7:15. These are not enemies you can easily detect. They blend into your circle. They mimic loyalty so well that it becomes easy to doubt your own instincts. Surely, you tell yourself, someone who supports me so loudly could not wish me harm. But sometimes the loudest applause hides the deepest resentment. You see it when opportunities you trusted them with mysteriously vanish. You sense it when friends who once believed in you start to question your motives without explanation. You feel it when the warmth once surrounding your success grows strangely cold. Their sabotage is not violent, it is surgical. A careful dismantling of your life from within, done so skillfully that when you fall, it appears to be your own fault. This form of treachery mirrors the betrayal Christ faced in the garden. When Judas, a disciple, a friend, a trusted companion, approach not with a sword drawn, but with a kiss. A kiss, a symbol of affection used to mark his capture. Let that image sear itself into your mind. Betrayal does not always come with fists. It often comes with affection, with smiles, with cheers. And so you must be wise. You must not be deceived by the performance of loyalty. Loyalty proves itself, not in public declarations, but in private defense. A true friend speaks well of you when you are not present. A true ally protects your name when you cannot hear them. The one who publicly praises but privately destroys is more dangerous than 1,000 enemies who make their hatred plain. God sees the heart, even when the world sees only the mask. And the day will come when the masks will be ripped away, when the true faces will be exposed under the light of divine justice. Until then, be cautious, be discerning. Do not sell your trust cheaply. Trust is a sacred thing, and it must be guarded fiercely, lest it be placed into hands that seek not to lift you, but to tear you down in secret. They twist your success into a threat. There is a bitterness that festers in the heart of those who cannot stand to see others rise. It is not your mistakes that enrage them, it is your victories. It is not your flaws that provoke their jealousy, it is your potential, your resilience, your light. In their eyes, every step you take toward your destiny is an insult to their mediocrity. Every success you achieve is a wound to their pride. The enemy of your soul despises progress because progress is evidence of life, of favor, of destiny unfolding. And so it is with those who carry the spirit of hatred disguised as friendship. They watch your growth not with pride, but with seething contempt. They may congratulate you through gritted teeth, but behind closed doors, they plot how to make sure you never climb higher. It is written, wrath is cruel, and anger is outrageous, but who is able to stand before envy? Proverbs 27:4. Envy is a silent killer. It gnaws at the heart like a worm in a fruit, unseen until the rot reveals itself. Those who are envious of you cannot rejoice in your achievements. Instead, they interpret your success as an attack on their own worth. In their twisted view, your blessing becomes their curse. Watch their reactions closely. Notice who grows distant when you are promoted. Notice who changes the subject when you speak of a dream fulfilled. Notice who grows uncomfortable when the spotlight shines on you, even for a moment. Their smiles may remain, but the light in their eyes dims. Their words may still sound sweet, but the temperature of their spirit turns cold. And it will not stop at discomfort. Those who see your success as a threat will often feel compelled to retaliate, not through open attack, but through quiet sabotage, passive resistance, or calculated indifference when you need support the most. They will minimize your achievements, question your motives, and hint that your success is undeserved or temporary. And resentment is older than time. It is the spirit that moved Saul to hurl spears at David, a young shepherd who had done nothing but serve faithfully. Saul was not enraged by David's failures. He was terrified by David's victories. Saul has slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s, the people sang. And from that moment, Saul's heart turned deadly. So too will you find that the more you walk in the fullness of who God has called you to be, the more visible you become to those who resent the life they themselves failed to embrace. Your obedience, your discipline, your faith, these things act as a mirror, exposing their own compromises. And rather than change, they would rather destroy the one who reminds them of what they could have been. But take heart. Their hatred is not your concern. Their resentment is not your responsibility. You were not created to dim your light to soothe the broken egos of others. You were created to shine, to thrive, to fulfill the divine calling placed upon you before the foundations of the world were laid. Let them rage. Let them plot. Their anger cannot undo what God has ordained. And when the storm they have brewed crashes down upon their own heads, you will still be standing, upheld by the hand of the One who authored your destiny. They resent your very existence. There is a form of hatred that is not born from anything you have done, not a mistake you made, not a wrong you committed, not even a conflict you initiated. No, this hatred is deeper. It is more primal, more unsettling. It is hatred rooted in your very existence. You simply being who you are offends them. Your light irritates the darkness within them. Your spirit exposes the deadness in theirs. Your joy highlights the emptiness they cannot escape. And they resent you for it, not because you harmed them, but because you remind them of everything they are not, and everything they once dreamed of becoming, but abandoned along the way. They do not hate you because you failed them. They hate you because you succeeded in simply being yourself. You live freely. You love purely. You walk with a grace they cannot replicate, and so their spirit twists in envy and rage. The Word of God shows us this truth plainly. When Cain looked upon Abel, it was not Abel's wrong that provoked his fury. It was Abel's righteousness. It was the favor Abel carried, the purity he maintained, the acceptance he received from God that stirred up hatred in Cain's heart. And the Lord said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? Genesis 4:6. But Cain could not answer honestly, because deep down he knew Abel had done nothing wrong. So it is with those who resent your existence. They cannot point to a single offense. They cannot articulate a justifiable reason for their disdain. It festers in them silently, growing in the shadows, gnawing at their spirit, until every glance at your life becomes a fresh wound to their ego. You will notice it, if you are discerning. It hides behind polite conversation, behind forced smiles, behind obligatory congratulations. But beneath the surface, their energy shifts when you walk into the room. Conversations dull, laughter fades, the air itself feels heavier. It is not always what they say, it is what they refuse to say. It is the coldness behind their eyes, the sudden change in atmosphere when you dare to be fully alive in front of those who are spiritually suffocating. And if you listen with the ears of the Spirit, you will hear the silent accusations. Who do you think you are to be so confident? Who gave you the right to shine so brightly? How dare you walk in peace when I live in turmoil? They may never say it aloud, but their spirit screams it every time you step into your calling. You must understand, this resentment is not about fairness. It is about a spiritual clash. Your very being testifies against them. Without uttering a single word, you confront their compromises, expose their bitterness, challenge their cowardice. And for those unwilling to confront their own darkness, it becomes easier to hate the one who reflects the light than to change themselves. Christ himself faced this kind of hatred. The Pharisees did not hate him because he wronged them. They hated him because his mere existence revealed their hypocrisy. His light exposed their darkness. His innocence made their corruption unbearable. And so they conspired, plotted, lied, until they nailed the light of the world to a cross, thinking they could extinguish what they could not understand. When you encounter this kind of hatred, you must be vigilant, but you must not be shaken. Their resentment is not your fault. It is not your burden to carry. It is the inevitable result of living authentically in a world that has grown comfortable with masks. It is the price of walking in the favor of God among those who have forgotten His voice. Guard your spirit. Pray for discernment. Trust the quiet warnings God places within your heart. When He shows you that someone's spirit is against you, even if their words are for you, believe Him. For the Lord seeth not as man seeth, for man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart. 2 Samuel 16:7. And remember this, the resentment of others is a signpost, not a sentence. It points to the weight of your calling, the brightness of your light, the power of your existence. The enemy does not waste energy attacking what is meaningless. Your very life is a threat to darkness, because you carry within you the evidence of hope, the reflection of God's handiwork, the echo of a purpose that cannot be silenced by the hatred of man. Lastly, encourage your self-destruction. The most dangerous enemies are not those who attack you openly. They are the ones who sit beside you in silence, offering words of false comfort while gently nudging you toward your own collapse. They are masters of disguise, speaking not with threats, but with suggestions that sound harmless, even helpful, but are laced with the poison of hidden intent. At first, you trust them. Why wouldn't you? They pose as advisors, as companions, as voices of reason when you are most vulnerable. They tell you to take shortcuts, to lower your standards, to give up on the dreams you once believed were sacred. And they wrap their poison in sweet words. I just want what's best for you. But what they really want is for you to sabotage yourself, to drift away from your purpose, to dismantle your own destiny with your own hands. The scriptures speak of such people with chilling clarity, for such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into the apostles of Christ. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. 2 Corinthians 11:13-14. Evil does not always approach in obvious darkness. Sometimes it speaks softly, with the tone of a caring friend, all while leading you closer and closer to ruin. You must listen carefully, not just to the words they speak, but to the spirit behind them. A true friend calls you higher. A true friend strengthens your resolve, sharpens your vision, reminds you of who you are and who God created you to be. But a false friend, an enemy in disguise, will encourage you to compromise. Slowly, incrementally, until you barely recognize yourself. It often begins small, a suggestion to settle for less than you are worth, a comment that diminishes the fire God placed in your heart, a constant reminder of the risks instead of the rewards. They plant seeds of doubt, seeds of fear, seeds of laziness, and then they water those seeds with false concern. They whisper, maybe this isn't meant for you, when God has already promised it to you. They suggest, maybe it's time to quit, when you are standing on the edge of your breakthrough. The goal is not merely to see you stumble, it is to watch you slowly dismantle your own life, so that when you fall, you cannot blame them. You will blame yourself. They know the deepest wounds are the ones we inflict upon ourselves, and so they work patiently, diligently, to guide your hand to the blade. Think of the serpent in Eden. He did not push Eve's hand toward the forbidden fruit. He did not drag her against her will. He merely whispered questions, cast shadows of doubt, suggested a new truth, and Eve reached for destruction herself. That is the pattern of the enemy even today, not through overt force, but through subtle persuasion. Be on guard against those who weaken your spirit under the guise of protecting it. Be wary of those who constantly encourage you to take the easy way out, to abandon the discipline God called you to forsake the dreams He entrusted you with. Their advice may seem kind, but it is laced with death. Watch for the patterns. When you share a new dream, do they inspire you or discourage you? When you seek counsel, do they strengthen your faith or magnify your fear? When you face hardship, do they remind you of God's promises or whisper that surrender might be easier? Their encouragement to quit is not a reflection of your ability. It is a reflection of their fear of your success. They know that if you continue, if you persevere, if you remain faithful to what God has called you to do, you will rise higher than they ever could. And so, they work to seduce you into self-destruction, sparing themselves the effort of openly opposing you. But you must remember, the one who called you is faithful, being confident of this very thing, that he which hath begun a good work in you will perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. Philippians 1:6. Your journey was not given to you by men, and it cannot be destroyed by their whispers unless you allow it. Do not trade your destiny for the comfort of their approval. Do not surrender your calling for the temporary ease of lowered expectations. Stand firm, sharpen your discernment. Listen for the voice of God above the noise of false friends. And know this, when you refuse to self-destruct, when you cling to the vision He gave you even as others gently nudge you toward quitting, you are testifying to the greatness of the one who holds your life in His hands. They harbor a deep, cold rage that never fades. There is a rage more terrifying than any shout or outburst. It is not loud, it is not explosive, it is cold, deliberate. Hidden beneath layers of smiles and polite conversation, it festers quietly out of sight, yet it never truly sleeps. It lurks beneath every interaction, behind every compliment, under every gesture of civility. And while it may be invisible to the casual observer, to the soul tuned by suffering, it is unmistakable. Abomination took 6 decades to construct. This rage does not burn hot and fast like a fire. It moves slowly, patiently, like an icy river carving through stone. It does not seek immediate satisfaction. It waits, bides its time, studies its prey. Those who carry this kind of rage are not satisfied by seeing you wounded once. They want to see your complete undoing. They want to witness the slow unraveling of everything that gives you life, your confidence, your relationships, your purpose. The scriptures warn us, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8. Notice it does not say he attacks wildly. It says he seeks, he walks about, he studies his prey. And so do those whose hearts are filled with this deadly, cold rage. You will notice them not by the words they speak in public, but by the atmosphere they create around you when no one else is watching. There is a tension in their presence, a heaviness that settles over your spirit like a suffocating fog. They may smile, they may laugh, they may even extend their hand in greeting, but your spirit knows. Beneath it all lies a festering hatred, a slow-burning anger that no apology, no kindness, no gesture of goodwill could ever extinguish. Their rage was never about a single offense. It was never about a mistake you made or a word you misspoke. No, their rage is about your existence itself, about your very breath, about the favor that rests upon your life. It is the same rage that filled the hearts of Joseph's brothers when they saw their father's love for him and dreamt of his destruction. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. Genesis 37:4. You must understand, their hatred is irrational. It is beyond logic. It does not seek justice or balance. It seeks obliteration. They see your joy, your strength, your purpose, and rather than be inspired, they are enraged. And because they cannot steal what God has given you, they settle for hating you from the shadows, harboring a grudge that time cannot heal. And here lies the danger, their patience, because they are willing to wait, willing to play the long game. They do not need to strike today. They do not need to betray you tomorrow. They are content to wait for your moment of weakness, a crack in your armor, a slip in your guard, and then they will move, swift and ruthless. How many have fallen not by the hand of an obvious enemy, but by the slow, calculated destruction orchestrated by a friend whose heart was cold with hidden rage? How many dreams have been sabotaged by those who smiled at the beginning but seethed with jealousy at every step forward? You must be vigilant. Not fearful, for fear is not of God, but wise. The same God who anointed David taught him to discern the heart of Saul, even when Saul's words were laced with affection. The same Spirit that revealed Judas to Christ still whispers to his children today, be watchful, be wise. Everyone who smiles is not your friend. When you discern that someone harbors this cold rage against you, do not waste your breath trying to heal their hatred. You cannot outlove a heart that has chosen bitterness over repentance. You cannot outshine a darkness that has willfully turned away from the light. Your task is not to convince them to love you. Your task is to continue walking in the calling God has placed upon your life, untouched by their hatred, unbent by their rage. And know this, hidden rage cannot stay hidden forever, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. Luke 12:2. In time, God exposes all things. The cold rage they harbored in secret will one day overflow into their actions, their words, their downfall. They will reveal themselves, not by accident, but by the unbearable weight of the darkness they have carried for too long. Until that day, protect your spirit, fortify your mind, anchor your soul in the truth of who you are in Christ. You are not defined by the hatred of others. You are not diminished by their secret rage. You are shielded by the hand of God, surrounded by His favor, sustained by His promises. Their rage may simmer for a season, but it cannot touch the destiny carved for you by divine hands. Their hatred may grow colder by the day, but your calling burns brighter with each step you take toward it. Their silent wars will end in their own ruin, but your journey, your story, is written in ink that no enemies rage. Stay vigilant, stay pure, stay focused. For the one who called you is faithful, and He will finish the work He began in you. No matter who seethes, no matter who plots, no matter who waits in the shadows, with cold rage in their heart. You have seen the signs now, signs that are not marked by the noise of obvious enemies, but by the silent, relentless hatred of those who would rather see your soul suffocated than set free. These are not mere misunderstandings. They are not innocent mistakes. They are deliberate postures of the heart, cold, calculated, and corrosive. But you, beloved, were not created to live in fear of their hatred. You were not placed upon this earth to bow to the silent wishes of those who resent your very breath. You were created to stand, bold, unbroken, and anchored in the one who fashioned you in the secret place long before your enemies ever knew your name. It is written, "No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn." Isaiah 54:17. Notice it does not say, "Weapons will not form," they will. Rage will boil, lies will be spun, snares will be laid in the darkness. But they will not prosper, they will not prevail. Their hatred will become their own curse, their schemes will collapse under their own weight. Your task is not to fight them with the weapons they use. It is not to descend into the pit they dug for you. Your task is to rise, to guard your heart, to cling to the voice of truth louder than the whispers of hate, to remember that every step you take toward your God-given destiny is an act of war against every dark spirit that sought to destroy you. There will be moments when their presence will feel suffocating, moments when the weight of their silent rage will press heavily against your spirit. In those moments, do not falter. Lift your head even higher. Lift your voice even louder. Lift your soul even closer to the throne of grace. For it is in the presence of your enemies that God prepares a table before you, not in secret, but in full view of those who despised you. And when the time comes, for it surely will, they will watch. They will watch as God vindicates you. They will watch as you rise beyond the reach of their schemes. They will watch as the favor they tried to curse only multiplies upon your life, not because you fought them in their bitterness, but because you stayed faithful in your calling. Let their hatred fuel your focus. Let their schemes sharpen your wisdom. Let their rage deepen your reliance on the one who holds your destiny secure. Because the truth is simple, my friend. Those who want you destroyed will end up destroying themselves. Those who plot your end will find their own plans unraveled. Those who cannot stand your light will perish in the darkness they embraced. You will endure, you will flourish, you will overcome, because your story was never written by them. It was written by God, and what He ordains no enemy, seen or unseen, can ever erase. So now I ask you, who have you trusted with your dreams? Who have you allowed to sit at your table, whisper into your ear, stand beside your purpose? Listen not just with your mind, but with your spirit. For in a world where some people don't just hate you, they want you erased. Discernment is no longer optional. It is survival. Trust in the one who reveals all things. Guard what is sacred. Walk boldly in the light. Because when God is with you, it does not matter who wants you gone. They will watch, powerless, as you rise anyway.